Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
To the owner of a black Chevy Impala, license plate RXJ553, you've left your lights on. We'll move on.
Our guests today are brought to you by the Waddling Dog Pub. Located, you have to be a long-time Vancouverite to remotely find that funny.
Yeah.
Located 10 minutes from the ferry terminal, the Waddling Dog Pub is the place to be to catch every Canucks game with one of their 19 taps of both domestic and locally crafted beer, wine, and cider, a daily happy hour from 4 till 6, brunch from 11 till 2, and a fully stocked liquor store attached. There are countless reasons to come, sit, and stay at the Waddling Dog. You go there, make sure you park your car, and don't leave your lights on.
Don't leave lights on. We've all done it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just human nature.
TSN Scouting Director Craig Button joining us now. Craig, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Good. How does anybody leave their lights on now? I mean, you open your door, and if your lights are on,
you get the beep,
yeah.
beep, beep, beep.
Off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you leave your lights on now on your car, I mean, you've made a fundamental blunder.
Good point.
There were a lot of reasons back in the day that people would leave their lights on.
Yeah.
It was different times. But we're just talking about PA announcers. It was Al Murdoch's birthday, the PA announcer at Rogers Arena yesterday, and how they can really make a difference in a hockey arena. You'd agree with that, would you not, Craig?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I grew up in Montreal and listened to Claude Mouton in both languages, announce the penalties, announce the goals, the inflection and everything. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. I mean, somebody like Claude the announcers today, with everything going on, they could make it really exciting.
Yeah, and let's not forget Paul Morris at Maple Leaf Gardens, who had a completely different style. Hey, Craig, big talk in Vancouver today.
Toronto goal,
yes.
27-5, 5 from Thompson and Sittler.
Mm-hmm. Craig, that's my shtick, and you'll have to throw $50 my way now.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that. Paul Morris, he wouldn't get hired today, I don't think, and yet he was classic. I just absolutely loved it. So different. Conor Garland, 0 goals in 15 games in Vancouver. They lose 4-1 to the Blues. How concerned should the Canucks be about Garland with that lack of production?
Well, I mean, I think you nailed it, Donnie. Lack of production. You're counting on somebody to give you, some goals. You're somebody that has produced points in the past. He was acquired to produce points. He wasn't acquired to be a primary scorer, but he's got to be able to chip in. And when you think about, where Bruce Boudreau uses them, how he uses them, 15 games, I mean, that leaves you on the short end of the stick and the wrong side of the score too many times. So, what I would say, I would take it up right to the high. It's got to be a massive concern because you got a team that is in a fight for the playoffs. I mean that hope is really fading. But at the same time, when you're not getting production, and nobody's asking him to score every game, but 15 games without a goal, and he's getting opportunity, simply falling far short.
Craig, would you be surprised, and this talk is going around, Vancouver, it's very active when it comes to Canuck talk. Would you be surprised if the Canucks didn't bring back Bruce Boudreau?
I would be. I really would be. I mean, you look at what Bruce has done, number one. Number two, who are you going to get that's better? I mean, Bruce Boudreau has one of the best coaching records in the last 15 years. Like, no problem. Okay, you don't want to bring Bruce back? Go ahead. Tell me who you're bringing in.
No, it's a good question. Rick was saying Mike Babcock.
Stop. He's joking. Anyways,
Bruce Boudreau, since he took over for the Washington Capitals at that time, has a better record than Mike Babcock.
Yep. No, I agree.
And Mike's a really good coach. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking Mike Babcock here. I'm just saying where Bruce is at. So let me just say, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Okay.
Craig, Aiden McDonough told the Canucks on the weekend that he's going to go back to Northeastern for one more year. I think the Canucks really wanted him to come out. Your thoughts from both sides of that decision, Craig?
Yeah, I've seen lots of players go through their senior season and go back for another year, despite the wishes and the pleas of the NHL organization. But, if Aiden feels that he needs a little more time and he wants to, finish what he started. I'm a big believer, finish what you start. And, Aiden's been a good player in college hockey. He's been a really good player in college hockey with Northeastern. But, to go back for a year, be a dominant player, put your team in a place. I mean, they got an outstanding goalie in Devon Levi. You start to look at, unfinished business. And, you complete your degree. To me, I've gone through it. I've gone through it with players over a long period of time. Jordan Leopold, we had him in Calgary. There was a lot of talk about him leaving after his junior year. There were certain things that mattered to Jordan. He wanted to be the captain of the Gophers. He wanted to try to help them win a national championship. Well, there's no guarantee of those things, but he became captain. He did help them win a national championship, and he won the Hobey Baker. He came into the NHL ready to play. I have no issue with it. And, when I look at where Aiden is at, Jerry Keefe's a really good coach. He's got really good competition. And to me, you just continue to support your player and be ready for him to come into your organization next year.
Craig, very sad story last night. Eugene Melnyk passed away, the owner of the Ottawa Senators. Your thoughts on his ownership, the person, everything? What do you think about when you think about Eugene?
Well, I think, when you look at it overall, Rick, I mean, he bought the team in 2003. It was a very, very different time in 2003. In Canada specifically, economically, the Canadian dollar, where the CBA was at, and Eugene Melnyk steps up and buys the Ottawa Senators. I mean, that was a team that had pretty good success, losing in the final in 2007. They went through some periods where they were a little bit bumpy, but they lost in the conference final 5 years ago. So it's not like they're a team that hasn't tasted success. In the course of fans' passion with their team, their beloved team, in this case, the Senators, there's going to be frustrations. Everybody wants their owner to spend to the cap. People talk about a new arena. There was some, Eugene was a polarizing figure. But when you look at it overall, when you own a team in a Canadian market, you're going to be in the spotlight. You're going to be asked lots of questions. You're going to be polarizing in different ways. But make no mistake about it. Without Eugene Melnyk stepping up and buying the Ottawa Senators back in 2003 and enduring some different challenges over that period of time, I'm not so sure there'd be hockey in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So I think the Ottawa Senators fans owe a debt of gratitude to Eugene Melnyk.
Couple more, Craig, if you don't mind. Connor Bedard is going to join us just after 11 o'clock this morning. 84 points in 53 games. We saw what he did at the shortened World Junior Championships. How has his game progressed?
I was talking to John Paddock in early January, and John had taken over as coach. He drafted Connor. And there was a lot of questions. What's wrong with Connor Bedard? I mean, I saw Regina early on in the year, and he was getting lots of chances, And when I get concerned is when players aren't getting chances, and Connor was getting them. But what John told me was, he said, you got to keep in mind, he goes, he played in a bubble last year. And in that bubble, he was protected to a certain extent, didn't have to play on the road, very familiar opponents, didn't have to, meet different challenges of it. So as he was going through it in the early part of the year, it was all new to Connor. And like any great player, and I use the word great because I think it applies to Connor, you're going to learn and you're going to grow from those experiences. And I think that's exactly what we've seen. Listen, anytime you do what you did, I know a lot of people say, oh, it was Austria. Well, if it was Austria, why didn't everybody do what Connor Bedard did? Because it's hard, and only the very best are able to achieve that. So when I watch what Connor has done now in Regina, really since the new year, I mean, he's lights out great. I mean, he's going to score 50 goals as a 16-year-old. He's going to get 100 points, and everything that he does, is elite and is special. And I know we've talked a lot about Michkov, and Michkov is a really good player. I think Connor Bedard has separated himself as clearly the best player. for the 2023 draft. And he reminds me so much, you guys, of Steve Yzerman at the same age. So if he comes close to replicating what Steve Yzerman did at the NHL level, that's an elite superstar.
And who knows? This wouldn't be shocking. He might end up in Detroit with Steve Yzerman. Quickly, Craig, Calgary at Colorado tonight. Two best teams, point-wise, in the Western Conference. 7-game series. Who wins?
Right now, I give the edge to Calgary. I think Calgary's got a little bit better, third and fourth line. I think they're a little bit heavier, deeper down into their defense group, and I think they have a better goalie. So in a 7-game series, and I think this is potentially a preview of the Western Conference Final. I think Colorado and Calgary have set themselves a cut above everybody else in the Western Conference. Now you got to go win your series, but I think this is a terrific matchup. I think it very well could go 7, but right at this point in time, Donnie and Rick, I give the Flames an edge.
Well, Toronto goal scored by number 11, Craig Button. Assist number 4, Mike Pellick. Thanks, Craig.
The $50 will be e-transferred to you, Donnie.
Okay. Talk to you next Tuesday.
Thanks.